even at this point, I would say they're moving up my tier list of my favorites going into the finals.
I have to agree with you, because when you see those kinds of numbers being put up, 37 kills with only 4 placement points, it is just a matter of time before the placement points come when you're playing like that. Go kills first, placement points later, and eventually you'll be able to run over teams to those placement points.
Yeah, eventually they're going to have a slight ways for Circle Lock with them, and they're going to run with it, and they're going to have like a 15 kill win, and that's another banger, right? And we're going to see that from them for sure. But yeah, LG on the screen, sad for them, but still, they're looking good. They're on the top 8, but that win would have been huge for them, for the morale.
What did they have, like 31 points just there on the board, I think?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, for them, yeah, just get yourself another good game on the board, but it's a decent foundation going into day number 2 here as we get ready. Thank you very much, Avenger. Thank you to everybody tuning in around the world. We have one final game here for day number 1 of the winners bracket. Let's head over to the commentators.
Thank you so much. We're hitting that halfway point for our winner's bracket, and yet again, back on to Miramar, and all of the games so far today have yet to disappoint, but we've been kind of drawn down into the south pretty regularly with our circles today.
You know what I like coming into this one? Previous game, not only have the games been super entertaining, but previously we had Alcantara or Porto Paraíso, and they said, oh, you like that fair diagonal playing path? Let's do the exact same, just crisscross it the other way.
I'm kind of curious now, with the trend into the south, maybe we'll get some flavors of up into the north as Curitiba, Terra Branca, Al-Azhar, all of those pretty strong places to be able to be played from. Although I'm not going to complain. I said, again, down around that Porto and Paula area, I love the games over there just because of the craziness of the terrain and what they can allow. And that's exactly what we saw happen in the last game. It's just so fun.
It's always great, especially with Miramar having so many open areas that are just practically unplayable, when you don't have that one area that just beats all the others, like a flat open field with a big mountain right next to it, which kind of was the case as long as the Impala Hills win, but once we shifted south into those open fields, it was even for all. It was completely even odds, and wow, that was... I mean, the whack-a-mole game that Xiaowu and Little Ghost played against Luminosity, that was humiliating to watch.
Going back in, LG going to be landing in right alongside of where we can see Falcons. This has been kind of what's been going on over here for them, so nothing too crazy. As I think that's the closest anybody's really going to come to each other, but yeah, it's Lucianos. I mean, they'll all land and be fine.
They haven't fought the previous 2 games, so I would assume that that's because they've figured out how to go about this and won't fight this time around either. Circle once again towards the south this time around, though, a lot further west.
Get ourselves a center around Chumacera, so that way we can have some fun to contend with over there. Also, we do have that whole no man's land that's just going to be to the southwest of Picado, with, oddly enough, Salute coming over, stealing himself a vehicle, and he's going to get some shots thrown at him, but I think that he's going to get away with that as 17. I always feel nervous getting close to 17 in the early game and grabbing a vehicle, because if anything, I feel like they're almost a team that'd be like, the car went to the south, and that's where we rotate to get it back.
Also, can we just appreciate, because I've spent the last 2 years talking about 2 teams in particular who kept hot dropping this exact place we're at and how it ruined both their tournaments. But look at this. 17 Gaming and Sonics are not hot dropping, and therefore, I'm not saying that's the exclusive reason, but part of the reason is they're both sat in the top with a good lead down to everyone below.
I mean, and they're first and second right now.
Exactly. And here's the replays of the previous game. Cerberus was the teams on eyes to begin the game as Theron on 5 tried to wrap on through. That wasn't going to work out. Cerberus, I mean, their ability to just instantly recognize what they're up against and just slaughter it is, I mean, that's terrible.
That's what I love about Cerberus right now. We're going into game number 6, 37 kill points. 4 placement points.
It's insane.
I love the way that they play because it's so fun. There's a lot of, we talk about this a lot, right? The points per game systems is really what you're looking at. If you're going to have yourselves a bad game and you're solo, you want to aim for placement points, right?
Yeah.
If you're getting into the late game, then of course, go for kills, go for placement, go for all those other things. But sometimes the strategy of let's go for as many kills as we can possibly get just to maintain our points per game can backfire terribly. Cerberus is like, nah, we got the aim, we got this.
They're playing with literally no fear. They're playing the same play style that some teams sat in 16th with 1 game to go play with, where like, you know what, we have nothing to lose, we'll be fine. they're just, I mean, and I love it because sometimes, or oftentimes I should say, even the aggressive teams regionally take a few days to get that confidence in at lane, because, okay, you gotta respect your opponents. They also qualified in equal terms to yourself. But, I mean, Cerberus and to a big extent Expendables as well have just come in with a zero bullshit mentality in this tournament, just gone, you know what, we're gonna take the fight to everyone we can. We're gonna go full aggro from start to finish.
And I talk about this a lot. I think it can never be understated. The importance of making people play to what you're trying to accomplish. If you're always the aggressor, if you're the one that's interfering, if you're the one that's always setting the plays up, that means that your team, the team that you're fighting against, is always having to react. That always puts you in a better situation because your comms are already clean, the plan is already established, and the other person is having to try to figure out everything to try to how to make it work and win.
Exactly.
So being the aggressor, if you've got the aim, is always going to help you out.
Exactly. Tyloo, well, they were, I'd say, the team alongside Cerberus who we were talking the most about throughout the group stages. They haven't quite found that same momentum here as we've made our way through to the winners bracket. They have gotten themselves a win today on the second Miramar, or Wrangle I should say, but outside of that it has been very, very quiet on the Tyloo front.
Saw Na'Vi kind of scouting out what was going on with the Picado, saw 17 already shift out and move to the south, eyeing that direction that their vehicle went. So as it moves forward, Na'Vi also going to be just coming in, backfilling behind them, maybe going a bit more south. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
We still got about, I don't know, half of our teams not inside the circle. No big rush, but the center meta is still very, very strong. But I want to point out with the center meta, we also have teams that are very, very separated out. And LG, if you can see on the map, actually committing into an early mid rotation.
Yeah. Why not go for an early play if you're somewhat nearby anyway? Try and see what you can claim. And also, I mean, I think, especially after that last game where, I'm not going to say part of the reason why they died was them being spread apart, because it was phase 8 and there's only so much space you can be on. But they were, I mean, it's just got to be frustrating. You have that one in your hands, and then even though they played pretty good PUBG, 17 just played godlike PUBG. Yeah. And that's what you're going to get in these tournaments. If a team is feeling it, you have to hit every single bullet. We saw how Strimsy turned on Takeo on one of the opponents there. If you miss just one bullet, more often than not, at this level of play, you can be damn sure the 2 headshots are coming right back at you.
This cresting is so, so dangerous inside of this. And see, that's one of the reasons why Anox is being safe. Just wants to kind of peek up, see if he can get some shots, kind of hit and run away from it. Danawa, again, running a 2-1-1 right now. This is risky at this stage, given how much we've seen people go center, but they're doing a good job of kind of defending each other from it.
Yeah, they're trying to hold down the fort for as long as they can. Again, I mean, they would at least like to see phase 2 before they make a committed decision to grouping up in any of the places. We know Church is good. We know the spots down towards the south, the big compound in the valley is good too. But let's at least get just an inkling of where this next one is going to take us before we commit. But the issue is, as you're saying too, they're already now seeing more and more teams vie for that cinder. So they might just have to group up before they would have wanted to.
Why be in a rush for real estate? Let everybody else fight over it.
The question mark way.
You just wrap in from the south. You take your time. You never know. Maybe a team can get wiped before you even get there. Just anything else that kind of works out as gravy is everybody else pretty much eyeing on circle. And then there's question mark that's like, I don't know. We can go Leonas. Maybe we should wrap all the way down to Valdemar.
Do we even have to go to the circle? Or just keep finding new level, like new jammer packs? We can just chill in the blue for the first couple of circles.
Going back to old school TSM strategies, right?
That is way back when, for sure. Petrichor trying to make their way on in. It has not been a flashy Petrichor. It's always so interesting when we have Petrichor play in China. They absolutely demolish their lobbies in their region usually, but globally they have still yet to really play just anywhere near how they perform in their own region. So really hoping to soon see the same Petrichor that we get to enjoy watching in their own region at a global stage too.
I feel like I've heard this story before somewhere.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, again, it is a somewhat new roster. The only group. I mean, it's not that the whole team has changed, but the most important role on the team has been changed. Summer, the former IGL from 4AM, that got dropped, and therefore, they made the changes with. It was kind of a three-way change with new happy 4AM and Petrichor. Petrichor picks up the former IGL Summer from 4AM, and they're now trying to adapt to the new playstyle. I accept it's going full frag mode, or at least to the best of his abilities, and they're still, I feel like, working on that communication aspect. It seems to me when you look at Expendables, for example, how fast they are instantly snapping to a decision and just committing to it. Petrichor still takes that 1 second extra that for the most part, again, when you're in a lobby as competitive and as highly skilled as this one, that 1 extra second is the decision and whether you make it or not. Think back to the Takeo game. Therodon 5, sorry, got to the compound literally a second before them and won the game from there.
Hesitation equals death whenever you're dealing with this at this stage. We just saw at the end of it, LG just trying to figure out exactly which way they should focus. And it's just so hard to contend with, especially when you deal with the fragging power at this stage. So I believe all of our teams now inside the safe zone. Question mark finally getting in there, as well as FaZe. We're just kind of waiting out the last minute to get a feel for what's going on. As Xiaoyan kind of doing a dance out in the open, not feeling too cozy, but those shots are really long range. Yeah. That's going to be, I believe, well, no, actually, that's even further out than that. I was kind of looking and seeing who was taking those shots at Tyloo. I think it might be some of the Falcons players.
I mean, it would have been from far away regardless. Curious, though, to see if Tanwu would have heard the impacts in the ground of those shots coming through. Figured out it's not me they're shooting at, so there might be someone nearby. He is looking down towards the east, towards Xiaoyan, but of course, with the elevation of the compound he's in, he won't be able to see him until he's pretty much on his doorstep.
This has been the quietest early game we have had so far today.
I don't mind it. I mean, again, it was a very simple playing path. This circle has been played out a trillion times before, but I also feel like we could have said that about the previous game, and that just did not play out that way at all. Now, of course, as teams are starting to get closer to one another, shots are being fired, and Salute able to tag a few onto Sushu.
Looking in on the map, I want to point out, again, when we're looking at Danawa, look at their 2-1-1 split that they've got set up. We've got LG running a 2-2 split, TE running the 2-2 split over there, Jin G kind of separated out. Circle's going to go shift very heavily into the mountain facings. Jin G going to feel good about this. This is a very, very vertical circle.
It is going to be incredibly hard. So not only play this circle once you get there, but you got to get there first. So many teams all coming in from the exact same direction now have to figure out how the hell do we get down to the southwest.
Our teams that are right along the edge are moving as quick as humanly possible. You can see Tyloo already hopping inside their vehicles, LG doing the same. Tyloo under harassment right now has got to be careful because it's going to be Falcons that are taking shots into him. QM, who still has yet to really stop, coming in on a similar pathing back behind this. Expendables eyeing it. While this is going on, it's really going to be about how fast Jin G can regroup because there's so many teams that are eyeing it. As one team's going to take shots at the other one, and it's just going to leapfrog. Look, now it's going to be Tyloo taking shots back at Falcons.
Not the place you want to be spinning out, not the place you want to have Tyler's Pupless drafting, is trying to draft his way through this ambush set up by Tyloo, and as you're saying, not an intended ambush, but they were kind of forced to stop themselves too.
It's Expendables taking this a bit slower. They heard the firefight that was going on in front, so stop, scout, move yet again as Jin G now has regrouped, and they've got themselves that compound all the way up in the sky. Pretty strong. Shrimsy's got to thin this one up, and he does get the knock onto one. Are we going to see the continuation of this? But it looks like Na'Vi is kind of circling out and away from it, saying, nah, this might be too risky at this stage. But guess what? Here comes FaZe flying over.
I don't think they're planning on stopping right here. They'll probably just enjoy the view from the sky, as I believe, I mean, it is a 2-2 split. A good thing for Sonic says that Na'Vi did not commit to that fight. So because if Nog and Flush came through so fast, it was simply impossible for Alia to figure out, was it just that one guy? Were there maybe more? Should we take the fight? No, let's be smart.
Safe zone either.
Exactly, let's be smart. It's on the edge. Let's continue forward and take the loss.
So just kind of let it go. Instead, let's get ahead of them and let's keep out whoever's hanging out back over here. You can see Cerberus now finding their pathing. They're trying to use those hills to block out as much as they can, but they're going to be closer to Danawa by the second. FaZe says the fact that, hey, you know what? We really like this kind of Jin G positioning up over here, so we're going to get as close as we can to it, and they're going to step in. PO, though, did get a read in, and if you're going to have one person playing off by himself in PO, as is norm.
Yeah, it's not exactly something we haven't seen before, that's for sure. FaZe, though, on the other hand, I mean, outside of landing out in the ocean, I feel like they just landed as far away from vehicles as they possibly could. They will not find a car in a long time unless if they kill the team and steal theirs.
Well, they also get very centered and skip over a lot of, like, the traversal on this is so vertical, cars aren't going to be very comfortable to deal with. And so skipping all of that and just getting in is so good.
And the whole journey from Chuma, they knew they were going to be the team furthest behind, so having to go through all of Chuma, all of the commotion that we saw between Sonics and Na'Vi, or wrap around the side where the no teams are already set, it would have been a hellhole for them to try and maneuver.
Look at the driving right here. This is what you have to contend within, and vehicles are fine and good, but now look, FaZe is even higher than that already. They get a look down, and while, yes, they are kind of close to Jin G, it's not like they're really going to be super aggressive on each other. PO's already over there eyeing it, and Jin G just is kind of focused on making sure to control all the areas around there, as the pathing to it is kind of, well, it is open, but it also has some very limited ways you can approach.
It's kind of annoying for Cerberus. These shots coming through. We are seeing Dogmite spot FaZe silhouettes up on the hilltop, so they know approximately where those shots are coming from. but it's not easy to commit to any one area here, because again, they just got here. They have no clue what's happening around them. And as soon as they get out of the cars, you can see they have to go back in, because now Falcons are spotting them from down below.
It's going to be a lot of that going on as Circle shifts over here.
Back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah. It's we still got some of Chubasera in, but let's be honest, we're going to be looking at the Valley. Most notably, where Cerberus and Falcons are playing from, where Tai Lu's going to have vision, kind of where Danoa is. That feels like that's going to be a very key component in a lot of what's going to go down.
It's going to be an open ending, no doubt about it. As Silson trying to regroup with his teammate, as I say that, actually, no, quite the contrary. Trying to run up, maybe get within nade range of Tycon. They do not want to have an entire team set right in front of them, because should Falcons have to leave north, this would be the one, if not the only direction they could make that play through.
And remember, we were talking about the vision that the high ground provides. That was Pio that was taking some shots down into Tycon from way up there. No big surprise on that one at all, right? As now we do have the firefight that's going to be happening in Chubasera. Navi's going to be making the push into where we see D plus Kia at, as well as 17 trying to hold it together. But it's just going to be everybody kind of chasing around where 17 is, and 17 just looking in and going, hey guys, we'll just keep taking all of these kills. Thanks.
17 and Navi was set up for, like, okay, we're ready, you know, like warming up, getting the gloves on and everything. Here comes D plus Kia, just full speed in the middle of all of it, and they go, wait, we have to fight you guys too? Kind of chaos, yes indeed. As D plus now sat with 2 alive, only 1 kill this game. It's not been the day they would have wanted. Currently sat down in last place, but we'll see if they can at least stay alive here with only Menuda and Americano left on their feet.
T5 was eyeing this, but Sonics also has some pretty limited pathing if they want to look into this really. Like whenever we look at their position, they don't want to come into Chumacera, but they don't really have a good choice. With how vertical that cliff facing is just to the southwest, where we kind of had Gen G and everybody else playing from, they have to go this way or they have to just blind send around the circle. And
exactly.
That's not good.
Either you wide wrap or you emergency pick up somewhere. I'm not even sure where that be, but no, they have committed, at least it seems that way, to make their way on in. And they have to commit, at least for now, to these buildings, because as you can see, 17 is sat up on the hilltop up above, not allowing for Sonics to wrap around that side. So little do they know, they're running into already very hectic city.
And you can see it is just a mess over here while this is going on. I wouldn't be surprised if Sonics maybe want to cut a bit more into the east, but they can't really do that because they have Jaibaz that's going to be over there and kind of eyeing it. Only 2 members for 17 are playing in that high ground and harassing them at the time, but Sonics can use this ridge that's in front of them, as we all know that Chubasera, like, leaps and steps, comes in as Example spins back around and just says no to H-Win.
What a save coming through from Example. H-Win almost had him, but not quite the case. And now focus goes from D plus Kia full on to Sonics. Navi all looking towards the north as they want to deny any sort of entry for Sonics in this one.
And this is the blue zone coming in. They know that they have to make something happen here. Sonics just kind of prodding in, seeing if they can figure out which way that they can try to path into it. While this has been going on, TE has gone for a wide rapid, has gotten control over that eastern territory, so that's not even too free. It is a duo that's over here, but Navi continuing to rain in nade upon nade. The circle does pop up here, so it's at least some type of benefit for the people into it, but Uba says no, you cannot approach this way. No open sesame allowed.
Access denied. Example finds one more. Now a punch is finally coming back through onto Navi. 2 players get knocked, but who will respond to this? Damwon Kia looking the completely other direction. They don't want any piece of this whatsoever, despite the fact that Melman is the only player on Navi on his feet. 17 trying to wrap around, and now Expendables. As you said before, they were set in a wide 2-1-1 split. They are fortified on the southern side of Chuma.
And this is just, again, another great reposition coming up from 17, realizing how many teams are fighting in there, trying to regroup. T5 gonna have to be dealing with Petrichor Road, just rolling through, but it's not going the way Petrichor wants. They're just gonna have to now follow in one more time. Didn't work last time, not gonna work that time either.
You know what, if you're going to pull up on a shack, you might as well just get all the cars up there at the same time. This time around, not quite the case. I feel like Hatsuba could reload between every single knock he got there. So a little mistimed on the approach from Petrichor, and that is going to be them falling down.
17 ain't done yet. They want to make sure that they stop anything the TE is going to be bringing over here. Navi had to slow down, but with 17 moving, D plus Kia did see this, and they've shifted to the south. So it's just 3 teams up here now instead of the 5 it was a second ago.
And whenever this is all done for, they have to go down towards Danoa, so it ain't going to be any easier from there on. Now, Duckshoes with the MG3 in hand. It's going to see if maybe should be able to get the res on here. For safety, though, might as well just run him back a little bit, get out of that nade range, and then get the res on up from safety.
For anybody that's looking at the map and trying to figure out what's going on with Danawa, remember that there is a giant drop-off back behind this firefight.
Yes.
So it's kind of its own isolated island in the sky right now, as the other hillsides don't really have good vision into it just quite yet, and really maybe FaZe or DK might be the ones that would get involved, but they're more trying to control the territory that's much closer to them. So this has led for a kind of peculiar urban ending edge fight that's only in Phase 4.
It is a very weird area to fight around, no doubt about it. That's why we're seeing so many teams not necessarily get eliminated, but fall down to 2 or 1 player, because you cannot sit 4 on top of each other in the majority of these areas, especially not with the mountaintops still in play.
See, now the vision now being the big thing is DK, they're still kind of caught up looking back into what's happening over here as Navi says, hey, everybody shift out of here. Let's go this same path, and they're going to take the shots into DK plus Kia over there. But now FaZe starting to hear more and more, but FaZe doesn't kind of care about what's going on to the north. They care much more about the south.
Not at all. Well, we spoke of the quiet team, the slow pushers. Question mark. They might be maneuvering slow, but do not take that as a gospel of them not doing damage, because they're damn dangerous up close. The swing up towards Uber, though, as it does what it does best. Frags out, takes out D plus Kia.
Just slow and steady. Uba just walking in Terminator style, one step in front of the other. 4 kills for Uba as he's feeling and getting now actually a pretty good control point to play from, but the circle says, nah, you can't even stay there. You got to keep going south.
Falcons lose 1, but they get out of the server the entirety of Cerberus. That's huge for them. It grants them so much more space to maneuver, and especially now with question mark up close, they need the space. They need to quickly realize exactly where they have the QM players so they can position themselves accordingly.
This is not going to be too good for a doozy over here, as he's going to go down, and he's just kind of caught out. The rest of QM realizing that. They're just trying to path into the circle. While this is happening, Gen G finally having to leave their compound over in the west. They're going to do something similar. If we see them fortify in, they have some vision on what's going on with QM, but you can see the shacks, the protection that they've got to work with right now. Still, yet again, it's going to be the traffic jam in the north as 17 Gaming is going to be trying to get out. They're going to have to bypass by Navi, except for this is kind of a leapfrog from position from we saw just a second ago. 777 now taking the shots. He's going full off-road. BMX dual flip.
Oh, so close, but the Bikers does not have the same horsepower as the Murano does. 17 gets to safety. The same thing cannot be said about Mel, who would probably really have wanted something a little bit faster in that situation.
Mel's got to go back and hit the gym if he wants to hit that Murano horsepower, right? As now finally FaZe eyeing more into the north as they say, okay, if everybody's going to be walking into this, we should have a good set of vision into it. But it is also going to be Gen G with high ground taking some shots into 17. While this is all going on, TE is going to be wrapping in pretty close along a similar pathing, right up next to Uba, who decided to not take a bicycle because Terminators only use their feet, right?
Exactly. Or motorbikes, I suppose. In any case, Delvin up close now. Damage done. Finds Uba help from Tanwu down behind, but he deals with him himself. Again, expendables. They just go from fight to fight to fight. And most impressively in all of this, they don't lose players. They're so good at not only take fights, but also make sure that one is always tasked with making sure that everyone stays on their feet.
Look at this crossfire that's been set up by FaZe. They sent Gustav over into the east, waiting. 2 members are getting very, very close up and in, and it's going to be Fex that does spot on Tanvu, but he is going to go down. Corexy now has to come over, provide some type of support. James is still looking into the south wall. This is going on 17's trying to make its own move. FaZe might find itself picked apart if it's not careful, but it's going to be Corexy's aim that just says no.
Lops on forward, tries to get one more, but here comes the cavalry. Dog Shoes is here, 777 is here as well, but there's only one on the other side. Picks him up, but they're awful timing on that one. As Corexy goes down, and just like that again, even with everything going against them, they will be able to get at least one up, depending on whether or not Delvin has a jammer pack. He could potentially get up 2.
Got to be careful with the sight lines, though, as if he goes over that way, it's going to be Danawa that sees him. If they move up the hillside, it's going to be the remnants of FaZe that can spot them out. As you can see, it's going to be that little ant moving in distance was going to be Gustav, who's now starting to take some shots back up into it, and the blue zone is going to finish out Delwyn. This is going to be Tyloo's struggle. You can see that they're dealing with this is the low ground disadvantage.
Yeah, it's so hard for all these teams to maneuver down this hillside. We have a pretty much perfect slant uphill towards the west, and everyone is just sat down there in their separate piece of the layer cake, waiting for teams to close up towards them. Danawa finally getting things going again as James and Gustav falls. That is FaZe out in 10th.
Circle did shift a bit to the west as Gen G not going to have to move too much further, move down the hillside. They are aggressing into that Luminosity sight line, but it's going to be TE still having to contend up with Dano, who's getting more active, realizing the fact that this is where all the party's been going on, and this is where KP can be found. Trying to spot him out, does spot out 777, but doesn't quite finish him off.
And there he goes. Okay, in the end he will fall, and again, I mean, for Dano, usually we see the team that is set inside that compound have a hard time get out of it, but they knew exactly what they had to do. Wrap around that northern side. Now, they do lose one on it, but at least they do get out. Best of luck logging down the fort, or the shack, I should say, as he finds DraftKings trying to make more of it now. It's going to be hard because Capitan has a perfect angle, and I think Best of luck is going to need at least a couple of smokes to get out, unless if he can just tear his helmet off.
I also do want to point out that we see Dano moving around with an LMG in a close range.
Yo, what?
Yep, just spray all of them to the dead.
Well, I mean, Luminosity have been running into Korean snakes all day. First it was Loki on military, and now PO does some dirty with the Groza too. That happened in an instant.
It was kind of a protracted fight. As on the map, we kind of saw them shift down. PO had some support in, and then it was going to be Taman that was up on top, just not allowing them to move, and just allowed PO to get right up on top of them. But you'd want to see at least a bit of a more solid defense coming out from LG on it. But it was so hard.
PO things, man. Yeah. PO does PO things, regardless of whether it be a good or bad thing. This time around, it was absolutely perfect.
Moving in, it's going to be Daytrade that actually does get center. We've got Capitan for the Falcons. It's going to be out looking kind of in that southern direction. Up in the north, we still have Sol and the rest of the crew looking down at the remnants of T5, as well as Tai Lu, who are awkward spot as Bicycle's coming back into play.
Here we go. Settling up, getting ready to go. Getting ready to maneuver down this hillside. And in all fairness, I mean, regardless of whether it be a bike or not, you just don't want to be running down that hill. So perfect for Sol to be able to get the bike game on, get the BMX in there, and get going as fast as possible. Going straight down towards Thanadol in front of him.
Yeah, Thanadol playing this one slowly. That flash is going to connect, but nice go spin around on it. Goes for the shots back up. Reads it well, but can he get anything else? Nah, Sol's like, hey, thanks for throwing out the utility. Let me know what to do. Sitting back up, it's going to be more and more Danoa as it's going to be them sweeping down into longs, but Anonix on the opposite side of the circle, trying to make sure that he gets control of that high ground.
Again, Danoa starting to get things going. They lost players early on in this one. Salute fell on the exit of the compound, but in all the previous games, they have just been losing players way too early for them to get things going at all. In group stages, it took until the second to last game before they finally got themselves a game they could be proud of. And now, if they can do so here in the first day of this one, they might just be in for a really good winner's bracket, regardless of where they're set in the leaderboards right now. PO finds number 4 as we make our way into the top 3.
Got ourselves a pretty much Korean sandwich. Danoa up into the north, Gen G in the south, and poor Daytrade just clinging to life in the middle of it. But we might be able to see with the little bit of cover that they have, could buy something for them. The circle does shift up, favor them. Gen G is now have to figure out, okay, we have the high ground. We're now in the thick of it. How do we want to approach this?
The whole full speed send it center has changed with emergency pickups. Daytrade, when all chaos broke loose, they like emergency pickup into the middle of this hellhole, essentially. And somehow, they've been able to stay with 3 up, or down, I should say, as they're all lying on their stomachs right now. Well, with the exception of Push Hills and Norrens. They're chilling, at least for a little while longer, hoping to see Gen G and Danoa do some damage to each other before they have to join the fight.
Belmont's been pretty quiet for a long period of time. I don't know how many people know exactly where he is, and I think that's one of the reasons you're seeing Gen G be so cautious on this. This is a very complicated section of the map.
It is.
It's its own independent valley inside of a valley, for lack of a better term, and a lot of hills, a lot of these little mini dips where just a snake can come out and destroy you.
Valleyception is upon us as Gen G creeps on forward. They have had endgame after endgame available, but have not been able to close out the games. Gen G this time around, though, 4v3v3. PO is already sprinting forward. They got the double Groza lineup as they full speed send it forward, but they have completely missed Belmoth.
He is just so sneaky right now, waiting. Looks like the rest of Gen G is going to take a similar path. They're going to hop inside their vehicles. Now Belmoth is going to be 100% certain. Okay, I now know where majority of this team is, given the way that there's pathing, there's no shots. It's going to be the split over right here. He can feed that information back over to Puchus, as well as the other teammate that's hiding inside the shack. Even if Belmoth dies here, doesn't get a knock, if he can at least feed some type of information over to his teammates to get something to happen over there, that'd be great. But, I mean, Anonix and Taman watching is going to be hard.
I mean, Pushils and Norrens are still still inside this circle, so they have no reason to overaggress. I'm surprised no one has used a couple of bullets to break down that door, so they get a pretty angle. As I say, that we're instantly hearing shots connect on the door. Maybe they're too far away to do proper damage to it, but I would imagine that breaking the door would be a priority for all these teams.
But that's so big. Look at Belmont's positioning and where the front door of that shack is.
Yeah.
If you commit to going after that front door, you're opening up the angle for Belmont to exploit, and he's just being as patient as he can with it.
It is a pretty difficult ridge for him to peek out and over. So yes, where there's a chance for him to peek over, I think even with the door gone, if it does break, he would still hesitate for a little while longer. Gen.G though fully committed to the eastern side. They want to wrap underneath, they want to wrap around on this one, and they want to take the fight to Danawa.
That's allowing Daytrade to go ahead and hop out right back down to the south. That's going to be information fed over from Belmont. EG reads what's going to be going on with Loki. Take him down. That LMG not going to get a chance to just unload, as we're going to see utility just coming out everywhere. Danawa having to respond and step away. Remember the fact that Anonix is all the way over there by himself, so this is just a 1v4.
Thank you, Gen.G, for fighting close range. You have a P90 and 2 Grosses. You better run it straight into their face, because you have the ultimate firepower available in this matchup. Anonix from a distance tacks Pio, but I think going to be much damage coming through. He too has to get off this hillside.
He just has to try to slow down Soul in some fashion to let Soul get something happen here. But again, the Gen.G shift coming out closer and closer to Belmoth. That is just the deadliest Jack in the Box waiting to pop off. But any given second, Spin's going to be coming out. Tama does connect into Neurons, but that's as good as gone, as Poochoo's still creeping forward. No big exploit has been able to happen just quite yet, and it's going to be Anonix that ends up going ahead and finishing it all out.
And what's the issue? It's going to happen eventually if Belmont does not make a play, especially with his teammates taking damage. They're going to be like, wait, they're running there. Where's the last? Anonix flexes out as Pushiels is going for the rest on his teammate and spots Belmont from up high. So even though he had a position from where he could have had a surprise factor, because Anonix has still yet to give up the high ground, Belmoth ended up having no impact.
Gen.G's got to be careful, as they have some really good pathing to work with, but they might find themselves, if they overextend into the circle too much, putting themselves into the pinch position. And that's what they're trying to avoid. Leaving EJ back into the north to kind of control what's going on with Soul. They still know that he's over there. They kind of have an idea on exactly where Anonix is going to be at. But it's going to be the day trade members that they have to be very, very careful that they don't step in a firing line between.
I mean, Gen.G knows that they're 4v4. They should also, if they've counted the kill feed right, know that they're up against 2 duos. And they know for a fact that Anonix is set up at high. They saw the 2 people inside the shack, so they can already now start doing the math of who can be where. Soul shot at them from before. They know that there's 2 players on the right, 2 players on the left. They are just waiting for Anonix. Let the circle do the work for you. Force Anonix down that hillside and allow that fight to get properly up close. Because again, as I said, double Grosser, P90. You cannot ride up a win better than this.
I really love the way that they have this lined up. They've left Taman and as well as EG up in the north to kind of deal with and contain what's going on with Danawa. Meanwhile, circle control and center dot control has been all about what's going on with DG and Pio. It means that the moving factors, they should be able to handle both. Actually, they're going to go ahead and say, nah, Taman, you've got this. And they're going to have EJ shift down into the south, so that way they can double up repair, get control over the center dot, and also have EJ as there to kind of a safety factor to handle what's going on with day trade.
I'm not liking if all of Gen.G all of a sudden goes down into this ball. We've seen it before where they've had the winning opportunity in games, but because of their indecisiveness, they've come up short this time around. Those teams like they're more committed to it. They quickly read that Anonix is up there on the rock, but not able to get him down initially. The second time around, though, works out for them. Norrens instantly, though, responds. So Nox going on all sides.
You got Taman, though, down at the exact same time. Daytrade's trying to exploit this, use the numbers that they've got to try to brute force through. Molotov's going to come out and slow everything down. That is perfectly played coming up from Gen.G. Reset the pace, but while this is going on, you can see Soul's trying to figure out, is he going to have an opportunity to try to make something? Is he just picking up nades? Yeah, I think he's just picking up nades from his down teammate.
Oh, it goes close, but the angle, the camera beating us a bit there. Thought it was going to go right on DG98, but not quite the case. Pushiels now really doing a good work job at helping out Danawa to get the rest on through. They cannot peek over that ridge line without Pushiels and Neurons shooting towards him. And now Flash is speed up down forward. Danawa don't want to wait no more. They have to push in on this.
And this is where it becomes more and more problematic as this goes on. Gen.G is being forced into the funnel right in between both of these squads. It makes it an unofficial 4v4, and they're realizing this. All stacked in. Puchu, Neurons moving in, but they have got to be careful. They're now starting moving in sight lines for Danawa. Danawa's trying to exploit it, and that's going to be Soul. Picks them both up. enough. And now Danawa looking down into a strong Gen.G.
Oh, and Nonix has 7 bullets left to work with, 2 nothing to do for him. This time around, it ain't gonna happen. Gen.G out victorious. High fives galore as the boys in yellow claim the last game of the day. And what a great fashion, what a great end game for Gen.G to just slowly play it Gen.G style, push in, and get themselves the win.
Get them high ground, get control, shift in, constant information control was the key to victory for them, and it's just what got them there, and it's what they exploit best.
And now it happened off camera, but I'm really curious to see PO's 1v3 against Luminosity, because that happened as fast as could possibly be. Not sure exactly how to went down, but that really was what kickstarted Gen.G's performance in this one.